What's up, YouTube fam? JR back with another review today, and I just finished reading Batman Under the Red Hood. Let's talk about it. So, Judd Wittick, Doug, don't want to say his last name, probably going to F it up, Mankey, y'all probably have heard of it, and then Shane Davis. So, again, Batman Under the Red Hood. Before I ever read this, I saw the animated film way back when, and it's kind of a blur, to be honest. I need to go back and rewatch it, but really enjoyed the evolution of Jason Todd becoming the Red Hood, and probably one of my favorite Robins. I think probably my favorite Robin, I would say. I enjoy the I mean, that's why we love Batman, right? Kind of a darker vibe, I feel like some darker past, some adversity. I've never been a Superman guy. No hate to Superman, but he seems pretty much perfect almost. And I like some past trauma, some dark upbringing. Had to struggle here and there to get to where they're at, and that explains Jason Todd perfectly. So before I dive into what the story is about and what I like and dislike about it, I want to shout out DC and Marvel for giving us the compact version of this. This recently came out in compact form. This is the only version of this I've read, so I would assume maybe the other versions include everything, but I know this includes a few other things toward the end of it as well to help us readers who are maybe new to comics or don't know a lot about it, give us a little bit more backstory. But what it does include is Batman 635 through 641, 645 through 650, and Batman Annual number 25. So that's what it includes. And I'm going to jump right, just straight shooter here for you guys. Great story, right? If you don't know about Batman Under the Red Hood, I think at this point you've probably heard of the Red Hood. It is Jason Todd. And again, spoiler alert, if you haven't read any of this or seen the animated film. The animated film, if I can remember pretty correctly, is pretty similar. I would assume you get a lot more info out of this. And I think the animated film had a better ending. We'll get to the ending here in a second, but if you've seen the animated film, there won't be any massive spoilers either. But if you haven't seen the film or read the comic, pause this, go check it out, come back. But anyways, let's jump right into it. So, Batman essentially fails to save Jason Todd, who is the second Robin. And, how does he fail? Why does he fail? Well, the Joker has captured him. The Joker has tortured him, beat him, set off a bomb. Batman gets there late. It explodes. He can't save him. He finds the body, this, that, and the other. And I will say that there is a little, I think, kind of confusion. When you read this, there are some issues that I think should go before where this starts off. This essentially starts off with Batman just towing up against the Red Hood, and you kind of find out toward the end oh, it's Jason Todd, and I do like that. I think that was smart for them to do that, but at the same time, it is cool to see how he becomes a Red Hood. Essentially how he decides this is kind of the identity I'm going to take up. This is how I'm going to cover everything up. Because you do learn that, but you learn it toward the end. And I thought that was, it could kind of go either way. But I liked figuring out, in the last couple of issues they added on, how the whole process went down. But essentially what happens is Bruce goes and buries him in some safe location. During the Infinite Crisis era, he gets brought back to life, but he's still a little confused and dazed. Ra's al Ghul's daughter finds him. They put him in the Lazarus pit. He comes back to life, and then boom, from there, he decides, let's go hunt bad guys, kill them, and blame Bruce for all my problems. So overall, the story, I think, is really good, right? It's a great concept. It's a fun concept. Again, we like, and later on, Jason Todd, I think, changes heart a little bit. We don't see that in this story, but you kind of learn in a lot of other comics, the Red Hood actually kind of becomes more of a good guy, but still values his way of doing things, which I think is pretty cool. But to focus on this story, one of the things that makes it so good is this idea that, like, Batman has this ethos and this thing about him where it's we don't want to kill, right? We want to capture, imprison, bring people to justice. There's no killing here. And so morally he struggles because he knows if he had killed the Joker, more than likely Jason Todd would have never died, right? Jason Todd would have lived, and several other of Batman's friends and Justice League members and companions and this, that, and the other would have also lived, right? So really, Judd Winick throws Bruce into this like guilt, reckon error of like what is right and what is wrong, because it's like he kind of agrees with Jason. He's like, yeah, like if I had killed the Joker, this many times over, he's kind of right? Jason's right. Jason has a good point. But Batman's like, it's too easy. And so anyways, overall, great story. Now, I want to talk about the ending, as I mentioned earlier. And again, I can't remember much about the animated movie ending, but and I think they explain it a little better. I think there technically is a better ending in the animated film. But this ending, I think it's more up to interpretation. It's one of those endings, and I've never been a big fan of those. Like, I'll leave you wondering. Like it's you can complete the story in your head. I don't really like that. I guess there's some things that works, and I get it. It's cool. It's good for us to leave a movie, leave a cinematic film, or leave a book or a comic wondering. Nothing wrong with that, but essentially it ends with Jason Todd has the gun to Joker's head. Again, spoilers. Batman essentially throws a batarang at Jason's neck. It looks like it hits his aorta or throat area and really damages him. And then he's kind of laying on the ground, unconscious. And then Joker decides to shoot some C4, and you just see a big explosion. I think later in other issues way down the road, I think we do find out that everyone kind of escapes in their own way. There's no sign of Jason. I think Batman finds the Joker. He sends him back to Arkham. Batman survived. But, and that's to be expected. But at the same time, if you're say you're a brand new reader and you've never read this or read any Batman, you're going to leave this thinking everyone just died in an explosion. And again, it's okay, obviously it's not going to happen, right? Because there's so many other Batmans that happen after this. But I think I would have liked to have maybe just seen them survive, or give us 1 month later, and it shows Batman capturing Joker back to Arkham, and then maybe Jason Todd somewhere running off secretive, or I don't know, something like that. But anyways, would I recommend you reading this in 2026 right now? 100%. It is a compact comic. It is a lot more affordable. Y'all listen, inflation slapping us all, right? It's just wrecking us. So shout out to DC and again Marvel for giving us some compact comics. This is $9.99 in America and $13.50 in Canada. And you can see here too, I have the Daredevil compact comics, and then the Born Again compact comic as well. So Marvel kind of has their own version of these. I think DC kind of did it first, and this is a pretty thick one too. So you get all that for $10. Again, you get essentially 11, 12 issues for $10. Killer value, good story. I think you should add it to your collection. If you're a Batman fan or a comic fan, I recommend checking out the Red Hood. This is a classic story, and I think the Red Hood's really become very popular. We see him reappear in a lot of other, one-shot, single issues, or other stories after this. He has his own, the New 52 era, he gets his own series as well. Again, there's the animated film, which is really good too. So overall, if I had to rate this out of 10, I would say I'm going to hover around an 8, 8.5. I mean, 10's doesn't exist. 5 is good. So this is kind of my sweet spot for a lot of comics. Really the only issue I have is the ending. Maybe give us a little more. But also I understand they kind of leave it to interpretation, leave it to just not really knowing what goes on or show us what happens. And there's a chance that might appear in another comic that I just haven't read. So if there is a comic that explains the ending to this, please comment in the comments, let me know, because I'd love to go read it. But for somebody like myself who's getting back into comics and newer, I think the ending's important for someone like me who's maybe newer to comics and maybe to you all out there. But yeah, let me know if you've read this. Let me know if you like it. Let me know what you're reading. Let me know if you're reading any Batman right now, if you're reading Matt Fraction, if you're reading Absolute, if you're reading any omnibuses like this one right here. Would love to hear what you guys are reading. Love new recommendations. I'm trying to read as much as I possibly can, just week in and week out. So yeah, thanks you guys for watching along, and like, comment, subscribe.